Welcome to the Super Six podcast. We are live. I'm joined by Steve K. I'm joined by Alex, and I'm joined by Nathan Ellen. And this is the part where I introduce everyone and no one responds.
Hey,
like clockwork, that was absolutely beautiful. Consistency is key, and that is what we've got on here. Week after week, I introduce everyone, and no one says anything. But that's it's standard now. It's standard. All right. So the pressure is building on people. As we've just seen, Everton have just demolished Brighton 5-1 and their hunt for the Europa League. Manchester United are getting caught by Liverpool. I mean, we've already seen Arsenal's. We'll move on from that. And I mean, Arsenal are apparently putting the pressure on Manchester City now, but we will see once they've played their Champions League games. Results this weekend, a bit of a mad one. Let's start with Manchester United's loss to West Ham.
Yes,
We've got to.
Let's.
David De Gea's clanger cost Manchester United points. But is that the sole reason they dropped points? I'm going to start with you, Alex. You saw yesterday's game. The inexcusable mistake from David De Gea. It seems like one too many now. But was that the only reason why Man United lost?
It was obviously inexcusable and disappointing. I don't think that's the only reason why we lost. I think that the problem is our attack in the final third. I don't think that we are capable at the moment or able to just connect with one another and produce a goal, produce a result. And I think that is that fatigue. I'm going to be a brat here and say we played the most games out of everyone this season. We don't have the squad depth, and I think that it's starting to show. Like the players are just tired, and again, our away form from home has not been the best. And I just think that the issue wasn't just De Gea. I think it was the team as a collective just giving up and just not able to just make something out of anything. So yeah, that's my analysis.
Nath, we saw two other additional disallowed goals in that game as well. What's happening with Man United and their away form? It's for a team that's looking to push for the league going forward in seasons and is pushing for Champions League this season. The away form needs to be a lot better, surely.
Yeah, the away form's been very poor. But it really comes down to the manager only. He's had one season, one transfer window to get the players in that he wants. They've come in, and when they play, we play well. When you lose one of those players they're all key players. What's his name? Martinez is the most key player. Casemiro being the second key player in this whole thing. And we know without him at the back, this is why when I say the words Martinez is the best defender in the league, I don't mean he's the best defender one-on-one in terms of like if he's one-on-one with, say, a Salah or anything like that. I'm saying he's got so many parts to his game that make the team better. I think he's the most influential defender that there is in the league because he sets up our attacks. He's the one who the timing of the pass through to the midfield creates a space for the midfield. As you know, Casemiro now is not looking anywhere near as great as he's been looking. He's still doing well, but not the levels because Martinez is the key to start it all. Once that starts, Casemiro gets time. And then it moves on into the next third. Then Rashford gets time and the attackers get time. Right now, although we're still defending well, because we've got Shaw and Lindelof who are able defenders, they still don't have that extra bit of quality that you need to really put it into the next third and then the next third. So that's what's killing us at the moment. We've got our main two defenders out. And it's been the story of the season. We've got too many players. We can't afford to play without them first teamers. Otherwise, we are just not a proper system. And you know what we were like last year. So it's like we're reverting back to last season's form, but just a little bit better because Ten Hag's got a bit of a structure to him. But when you really look at it, I don't think it's the players' fault. I just think that they're just not capable of making it count because, like I said, it has to be a full system for us to look good. And we haven't done it.
All right. Steve, how far do you think... Oh, sorry. First of all, do you think Man United will get caught by Liverpool?
You talking to me?
No, Steve.
Oh, good.
You can answer that after, mate. I'm sure you're going to answer that after that. No, I don't. I still think that Manchester United to get that just. But saying that, I would at the same time, it's pretty airy, and Manchester United should never have got there, be in this position at the moment. I mean, they're in a very similar position to where Arsenal Man City are. Is exactly absolutely mirrored where Liverpool and Manchester United are.
Mhm.
Manchester United played 35 games, Man City 35 games, Arsenal 34, Liverpool 34, both 1 point behind. Yeah, so it's exactly the same. Yeah, it's exactly the same scenario. So can Arsenal pip City? Can Liverpool pip Manchester United? It's very similar. The likeliness is that Arsenal won't pip City, so the likeliness that Liverpool will pip Man City, I feel, is the same. Saying that, Man United, probably the only team out of those four that's not in form, and that must be worrying for Manchester United. And if they don't start backing up their ideas a little bit and playing better than they have been in recent weeks, the likeliness of Liverpool catching Manchester United and Arsenal taking over City is a lot more. But if you was asking me to put money on it, I'd still think that Man United would just get there. I do think there's a little bit more into why Manchester United are suffering the way they are at the minute. It's obvious that I think I've said on shows before that if Rashford stopped scoring, Manchester United be in trouble. They won't perform, and they won't win as many games, and that's exactly what's happened. Rashford's dropped form. He's not been scoring many goals, and for some reason, Manchester United are nowhere near like they was, a month or two ago. Martinez is a great defender, and Varane, I mean, that's a massive loss. They're two quality players, but whether I agree that they're the best or Martinez is the best, I don't agree with that. I think probably Martinez probably seems that way because, no disrespect to the other Manchester City centre-halves over the last 2-3 years, they've been awful. So to have someone like Martinez in and perform the way he is in, he's going to look unreal. But I'm not putting. He still is a massive loss, and he still is an excellent player. But I see faults in Manchester United. I really do. I see mistakes that I feel that Ten Hag makes. I don't think he's there yet. I do think he'll be a great manager. I do think he'll eventually, become. He needs to learn. He needs to learn the Premier League. I still see him make mistakes. I felt he made mistakes the weekend against West Ham. I see him thought he makes mistakes in games earlier than that as well. I mean, for me to play Eriksen instead of Sabitzer against West Ham at the London Stadium is absolute baffling to me. It's an absolute baffling.
Why is that baffle you? Because just coming from a point. Hold on. Just coming from a point of view from seeing it, from what I've seen earlier in the season, Man United are most cohesive when they've got Eriksen in that centre. So why was it baffling for you?
Man United for me are look better with Sabitzer in it. I think he's quality. I think he's fantastic. I think he's proved to be over the years, and when you're going away to a football match where you need to pick up points or at least get a draw, you need to control that midfield. For me, you don't control that midfield with Eriksen in it. At least with Sabitzer in there, it becomes stronger. He's a better partner for me with Casemiro. Eriksen's more on the front foot. When you go to West Ham, you see Arsenal. Arsenal had to struggle at times against West Ham. Surely Ten Hag would have seen what West Ham were doing to Arsenal the week before or 2 weeks before, seen how on the front foot they are, and see how much of the game that they had against Arsenal, especially in the second half. To play Eriksen, and it proved to be right because Eriksen was they were just running riot. Declan Rice walked through that midfield against. Yeah. He was the man of the match. He scored that midfield. Right, and that for me, it's only my opinion. If Sabitzer was there, right, it would have made a big deal, and I feel that it was a mistake. But it's just my opinion.
Yeah, we'll get onto that now. Alex, you disagree with the?
Yeah, I disagree. I
Sabitzer?
think he should have started Martial and he should have started Sancho in that game because West Ham are playing a low block, and I think Sancho would have been the key to unlocking that in some way. So and then I just think if he started Fred over Sabitzer, I see what you're saying about Sabitzer, but I don't think he would have been the key to closing the midfield down and making it tight so that Rice couldn't get through us. I think I don't know. I just don't agree
So
with that.
Rice has got through anyway, Alex. You feel he would have walked through your defence midfield anyway.
I think if Sabitzer was there, Fred was there, possibly he could have done because I
don't know. Yeah,
the
but I
games
know
over the last few the games that I've been seeing, the midfield has been getting walked through anyway. Regardless, I just think the players haven't been connecting like the past few games.
But Sabitzer is more that sort of stalwart, isn't he? He's that disciplined. He's strong. He's got where Eriksen's more offensive, isn't he? You know that against West Ham at home at the London Stadium. I know they ain't been playing bad, but once they get that crowd behind you. And that was just felt like a mistake to me. I don't know. Maybe if he would have turned out differently. But you lost the game and Declan Rice ran the midfield. So there must have been something in it. So why did Declan Rice run the midfield then?
The reason why he ran the midfield because he's a good player. But the end of the day is we had 3 gilt-edged chances. That should be 3-0. So at the end of the day, De Gea shouldn't be missing them that letting that easy goal in. They didn't score another goal other than that. And we had 3 clear chances to score. We should win that game. In the first half, we should be 3-0 up. So it's not like they've come and destroyed us. Like Brighton pretty much did a bit more than that. They were more of a better team than West Ham were. I know they had a bit more of the game.
West Ham were good.
They were good. Towards the second half, they were good. But they weren't like that. It wasn't Erik ten Hag's decision to play that team. What reason why we lost? We lost because De Gea made a mistake. And we didn't score our easy. That's why.
I think there are similarities in the Arsenal game, but not in regards to taking what you've seen in the Arsenal game and using that in the Man United game for seeing that West Ham have been all over Arsenal, because Arsenal for 35 minutes blitzed West Ham and they didn't even have any answers, and it was only for Arsenal's complacency at times, then lack of finishing after that they were in a similar position where Man United, Rashford missed a sitter, an absolute city, should have scored, and then you've got David De Gea, doing his best Calamity James. So there's a lot of things that come together and it's come out with that result. But ultimately, even though. I'd go as far as to say it could have even been a draw, maybe, but because you have to look at the 2 opportunities which West Ham had, which were disallowed goals. One of them, I can't even say it was really a disallowed goal. The other one, I think, was there was a high foot on Aaron Wan-Bissaka, so that's fair that was cancelled out. But
you're talking about the header that was offside, or you're talking
about was that offside? The Souček one?
Yeah, it was offside.
Yeah, but I wasn't saying about the reason. I wasn't talking about why Man United lost the game. I was bringing out. I just spoke about a particular mistake that Ten Hag made in the game. I didn't say nothing about that Man United lost the game because of the game.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying it's not a mistake, because we actually had our chances. We didn't concede a goal other than that mistake that De Gea made. So he's actually put a team out there that were better, that were actually able to do the job. They should have done the job, and they didn't do the job. I don't think it's because Eriksen played that we didn't score them chances or we conceded that goal. I'm just saying it really it didn't seem to be that reason. I don't think Sabitzer is the reason. Is a mistake. I don't think Erik ten Hag made a mistake. That I don't see that being a mistake. To be fair.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, no, I was just going to say that. Again, like it wasn't nothing to do with the fact that the reason why they lost the game, the reason why West Ham won the game, it was just a particular area of the pitch where Ten Hag could have played the Sabitzer and could have stopped Declan Rice from running the midfield, and I was particularly just pointing that out. Nothing else.
Nath, where do you think Ten Hag can learn from this season that he's had? Because it's his first season. It has to be, if you can get top 4 and you get the Carabao Cup, it has to be seen as a success. You've won a trophy. You've got that top 4 target. what do you think he can learn from his first season in the Premier League?
He's learned the players he knows he can keep around and the players he can't. That's one thing. And at the same time, on the job where he's had to have this happen, we had to have taken these losses because you've got to look and see what you're dealing with. And he was trying to trust them, and he realizes who he can't trust, and they're out the side. And then when he was playing with the team that he could trust, players get injured, and then we have to deal with it. We've had to deal with it all season. It's been a pretty hard one for us to actually stay with the better team. As we know, we don't have. It's a massive drop off when certain players come out of the team, and he's dealt with it pretty well. I think he's learned very well what he's got to do, and I don't think he's made many mistakes at all. He's had a pretty perfect season for his first season from where we were to where we are now. He's had a pretty perfect time because I've been giving him 8s, 9s, 10s pretty much every single week. And even with these losses now, it's nothing really more he can do. Like, I'm there thinking he needs to play this team. He plays that team. I'm there on the sideline. He needs to try and bring on these players to try and do something. He's pretty much doing everything we all think pretty much most of the time. And the results are the way they are because we're dealt the hand we've been dealt with. Injuries, suspensions, and the players that we need are not there. So next season, I back him to go and get players who are better than what we've got. Mm-hmm. And then when players get injured, we're dealing with these players as the players that are injured instead of the first team.
Mm.
Right. I'll ask you the same question, Alex. What do you think he's learned in his first season in the Premier League, and what do you think he can take going forward?
Oh, I totally agree with Nath. I think that he knows the players that he can trust and the ones that he can't. I think that he's also learned about how the Premier League operates and different opposition managers and how he has to utilize his team to get the best out of them to get the win. I think that one of the best things that he's learned is how to make Old Trafford a fortress and to make it a place where United can really feel safe and perform and do their best. And I think one of the things he's also learning is how important it is to win away and how the away fans can really affect and disrupt the mentality of the players that we have. And we've seen it so many times. So I think those are going to be big takeaways for him to kind of look at and refine next season. But again, that all comes down to the personnel and who he gets in. I think in the summer is going to make a big impact on how we then go into next season and start playing.
Do you worry about your away form?
Yes, massively, because I think that those are the key games, and it's not just that. It's conceding as many goals as we do away from home. It just shows the mentality of the players, and I think that is something that really needs to be addressed. And I don't think that this crop of players can really address that. I don't know. I'm just not convinced. I think that we need to have a few more different types of personalities that are going to help to raise that level and raise that standard, because it's going to be a thing that's going to happen again and again. I think we had a really good away record when it was during the COVID season, and you could see how away we were winning. And as soon as we've come back and there are fans, it's like we go a goal down and the heads go down and then they just sort of capitulate and it just all goes awry. So I think that's one of the biggest things that definitely needs to be addressed. I'm sure he's trying to do it right now, but it's not working from where
Johnny says Man United, where we were 1 or 2 years ago, teams that are successful have players that have character, that are prepared to sacrifice their own egos for the greater good. We had individuals for years, Ozil, Ramsey. I wouldn't put Ramsey in there. Aubameyang, strong management and recruitment of the right type of players, personalities. You've got competing again. Yeah, and it takes. I understand what Johnny's saying completely, but it's also easy to say when you've been through it and you're 3 years down the line. With where you are, it takes a lot of patience from the fan base, something which probably at the start half the fan base didn't have. Then it was a quarter of the fan base still didn't have, and they make a lot of noise when it's like in bad times. So it's going to take a lot of resilience from the fans that are standing strong as well to get there as well, and patience from the board as well. So we will see. Arsenal had a big weekend, Steve. 3 points at St James's Park, but it wasn't easy. penalty that was given to Newcastle, which would have had you twitching for a little bit, which was then rescinded. They also hit the post twice. Although that was a 2-0 victory, the scoreline doesn't quite fit the performance overall for every player, was it?
Not for every player, no. But I think, like we said on the post match after the game, certain players were just absolutely outstanding and got others out of the woods. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was. I loved the performance. For me, it was the complete away performance. You go to somewhere like Newcastle, and you've got to expect, that they're going to come at you at some point, and they come right at us early on. They hit the post, like you said. They got the penalty, and I don't know what all the fuss with this over the penalty is. I'm still seeing it on Twitter now. It was never a penalty.
Yes, it was Alan Shearer's kicking up a fuss, isn't he, about saying he was having a go at Dermot Gallagher, which I thought was a bit harsh.
Well,
can you say it was a stonewall? Can you say it was clear that he?
His leg.
His leg. I don't understand what he's getting at, because it clearly hit his leg. So whether you think it was clear and it shouldn't have gone to VAR or not, the right decision was made in the end.
Nah, it was just. They've just trying to come up with any type of excuse, because literally, as the game went on, when after like Newcastle really sort of come at us early on, Arsenal just schooled them. For me, I mean, you say about like Newcastle could have scored a few goals earlier on. I mean, we could have. Other than that, we could have gone in, 3-4-0 up at half time. So yeah, but it was a great performance. They certain players again, they stood up. We had to go and win that. Everybody said that, oh no, this is the one that Arsenal are going to lose. This is Newcastle. No one wins at Newcastle. But yet again, we went there. We had apparently another test. Every game for Arsenal seems to be a test this season. But we went there and in the end just come away with not a comfortable 2-0 win, as you said, but a very satisfying 2-0 win. And yeah, I mean, they talk about a penalty. They keep going on about the penalty, and that was a penalty. The one at the Emirates when Gabriel was pulled back by Dan Burn, the players afterwards continuously moaning about how this did, and they was elbowing Arsenal players in the face, chopping them down all over the place, and because Arsenal give it back to them, and they didn't like it, did they? They didn't like it back up them. So
it's something that they didn't do in the first game. In the first, in last season, they kind of took a beating physically and on the score. And I think they learnt from that. They did, and it was a great performance. Great to see Kieran Tierney come on. Thought Zinchenko was absolutely awful, by the way. I thought he had a terrible game. Arsenal Fan TV give him a 7 out of 10 rating. Right, couldn't believe it. I mean, I know they're far up in the crowds at Newcastle, but I think they needed binoculars. Some of these people who've given these ratings on that show. Martinelli, you listen to this one. Gabriel Martinelli, who was awful the whole game, got an 8 out of 10 from them. Unreal. An 8?
An 8 out of 10.
No.
I give him a 5. If he was lucky to get that.
He won't.
5.
He got an assist though, so he's got to get lower than a 5.
No, but I take it. I just, for the fact that they can't see very well and they're up as far as you can ever put us into the gods, didn't they? Newcastle, so maybe they didn't see the game very well. But yeah, that was quite. But Martin Odegaard, incredible. Granit Xhaka again, absolutely outstanding. Jorginho, wow, what a signing. Incredible signing. And now we put it up City again. And now we've made them think. And now they've got to go to Everton and get a result. And that's all we could have done. That's what we had to do. We have to keep City honest. And that's what we're doing. We're sitting 1 point behind them. Perhaps we'd be thinking about it. Gary Neville was right. What he said after the game. He said, like, Arsenal have, sort of gone up in their estimation. He never thought that Arsenal could come and do that at Newcastle. We went and did it. And now Man City, the players will be sort of, thinking worried a bit. I'm going, maybe getting a little bit worried. There'd be a thought in the back of the head. Pep would be going, hold on a minute. We didn't think this was going to happen. And now they've got Real Madrid away and all this nonsense about the fact that Real Madrid are got. Apparently, they're good. It's good that they're having a rest in the Champions League. What a load of nonsense that is.
Yeah, but put aside a title challenge. Put that aside. Yeah,
please.
Arsenal for themselves need to continue to go into the rest of the season and win every game.
Yeah,
going to Newcastle and getting points off a team who 90% of the teams in the league have struggled to do at St James's Park.
Yeah, just Liverpool, the only team. There's one.
But is a statement. It's a statement. Now, in my eyes, Arsenal messed up the league, but it's not over because the games are still mathematically, you can't write it off. You can't. And if you do that, and as a player, if you do that and you don't follow through and you end up not winning the games that the other teams drop points on, you're going to be absolutely kicking yourself. But for Arsenal themselves to hit a 90-point mark is a great mark for a season. People can take away and add and talk about second spot and bottle jobs and all that all they want. But the truth of the matter is Arsenal were 20 points behind anyone who considered themselves champions fodder at the start of the season. The only team that are around us are the team that have been in the top two for the last 5 or 6 seasons. Everyone else who thought they could step up to Man City this season hasn't even come close. Not even close. And Newcastle, who are a team who are now regarded as a top 6 team or a top 4 team, are a difficult team to go to, and Arsenal put 2 against them and didn't concede. It's a great result. No matter how Arsenal did it, it was a great result. Another team that would have been chomping at the bit for Arsenal to get points yesterday would have been Man United. Nathan, he was hoping to get that 3rd spot on Newcastle. Is that over? Is there still hope there?
I'm not hoping to get 3rd spot on Newcastle. I'm not bothered about that. I'm just bothered about getting Champions League spot. I don't care where we come. I know Newcastle have walked away with it. I know the reality of what's going on here, and I ain't in the clouds. I say it exactly how it is, no matter what. Man United supporter, not Man United supporter. For me, we just need to hold on to 4th. And like I say right now, Liverpool will keep up the heat and we will falter. So can we get a couple wins at Old Trafford? Can we do it? I'm not so sure. But I just hope we just fall over that finishing line and Liverpool lose 1 game. Just 1. Because we need them to be perfect, and they can be perfect because they're coming back into form. United, we're struggling. And we knew it the minute we saw Varane go off and then Martinez came off. We knew from that minute we're going to struggle for the rest of these games. When it's not going to be easy. And it's been exactly that. And that's just the way it is at the minute. And we're just hopeful. The same way I'm hopeful that we catch 4th spot. Now, I think it's actually less hopeful for Arsenal to win the league because I think City are just going to walk away with it and continue winning as well as you guys continue winning. I think you'll both continue winning and you guys will have some respect on your names and not be told you're bottlers at all. And but I just think City are just that good now. They've gone to a level where they don't look like they're going to drop anything. Now, the players, as you said, they can't think like that. They've just got to do their job. And as long as they do their job, no one can say nothing. All them, oozing can't be saying nothing at all. But yeah, that's the way I see it. And I'm scared. I'm worried.
Do you worry about Newcastle going forward?
No. I thought that at the start of this season, I thought we might have this season to just be above them for this year. And then next year is going to be a tough one. But I'm just happy. Well, I will be happy if we get in the proper owners, so then we can compete with Newcastle because Newcastle are here to stay. They've got the backing behind them now, and they're going to get better players in, and we are going to have to struggle against them. They're a team that's going to get better and better. Next year, it'll be City, Arsenal, Newcastle, and depending on how Liverpool spend in midfield and how Man United spend, it will be those who are in and around underneath. I think it's a fight between Newcastle. I'm already saying it now. Newcastle, Man United, and Liverpool for the third spot. I think you two are gone clear at the moment. You two are far clear, and I expect them to buy better players as well to continue keeping that gap open. And I think it's a fight for third spot between these three.
All right. Alex, do you worry about a Newcastle team going forwards with the money that they've got and the top four already this season, or at the moment?
Do you know what? I'm not worried actually, because I think the manager that they have, I don't think the manager they have is built for Champions League, is built for like playing across all competitions. I know that he managed to get to Carabao Cup final, but I feel like he's not the manager to take them to that next level. And I think they need someone like a Mourinho or just a top manager to like literally take what he's done and build on that and really like take them into the big league. So that's, for me, I'm not too concerned about that. And I just think that it's all about like players that they can attract, even though they're going into the Champions League and that's great. It's still like the history of that club and it's also the project moving forward. It's like I can't really see players thinking, okay, yeah, I'm coming to get paid well, but then going to the club and thinking that they're going to continuously be getting top four every season. So I think that's going to be a real. So I'm not worried. I'm really not at the moment.
Did you think that Eddie Howe would be in this position now?
I didn't think that he would, but equally, I didn't think Arsenal would be where they are right now in this season. I didn't. So yeah, those things are surprising, but next season it remains to be seen. I think it's all about the summer and who they get in this summer. That's going to be the test for me as well, and their pre-season, how that goes.
All right, Steve, a Newcastle, a team that you're looking at who could throw a spanner in the work in that top four?
Yeah, definitely. They've been fantastic this season. A lot's going to depend on how Eddie Howe's backed in the summer and who comes to the club. So we'll get a better idea at the start of next season on where we think they're going to finish. From what I'm hearing just through the grapevine, I'm hearing that they're going to spend big. I'm told that they wasn't allowed to spend big because when these new owners come in, they had to be careful that because it was Qatari owners and FFP were watching them like a hawk, and that's what they will be if the Qatari owners take over Manchester United. They'll be doing the same. So don't think that Man United are going to go and spend millions and millions of pounds in summer. From what I'm hearing, that's not going to happen. They'll have money, of course, but it won't be majorly big. I think if there's any reason why Man United are not in the Champions League places or more clearer in the league this year to make sure that they do get it, I think they'd rest up in January, but similar to what Arsenal did last season, again like a mirror image. But I really do think Newcastle are here to stay. I think Eddie Howe, again, I agree with Alex. I didn't expect them to be where they are. But Eddie Howe, he reminds me a lot of Mikel Arteta, very similar, young upcoming managers. Got the chance, to play at a big club. He's been very clever this season with his buys, bringing in players like Trippier, Gamires, really quality signings. Hasn't spent a lot of money. It was all about the summer for him. And also keeping that core of the Newcastle players that were there before. Dan Burns been fantastic signing. A lot of players, people say he's a weakness, but he's been doing really well. But they're going to have to buy. They're going to have to buy at least, I would say, 2 or 3 50-60 million pound players in the summer to be able to go on to compete for the Champions League players. Because like Nathan says, you've got to look at Man City, you've got to look at Arsenal. Man United really have got the players there already. So you're hoping that they'll step up and get stronger. So yeah, they're gonna have to. But I like what Eddie Howe's done. I really like what he's done. I like him a lot. As I say, reminds me a lot of what Mikel Arteta has done, and I feel that he's gone there. He's done the right way. He talks well in interviews. So yeah, but a lot's going to depend. They do need to buy. They need a centre forward. They need a right winger. They need a centre half to play with Botman, and they need like a DM. And I've been told that they want those 4 players. So I'd be interested to see who they end up getting, whether it be a Mount, someone like that, or a Maddison. Even possibly if they nick Arsenal's Declan Rice, because they'll be able to give him game time. Arsenal maybe not so. We don't know how that's going to work with Arsenal, but yeah, I'm excited to see Newcastle next year.
I'm not. Newcastle can spend as much money as they want, but it's down to the manager. It's down to the manager to get the best out of the players. Look at Chelsea, absolute shambles. It's hilarious. I think Newcastle have done well. I think they've been pretty shrewd. I know they've had to do it slowly, and they've had to bring in players like Target and other players like that. But they've also gone out and got Bruno Guimaraes, they were competing with Arsenal for. They've got Sven Botman, who was a player who's very highly regarded in European football as an up and coming player. And we've seen how good he is. So he is clearly the real deal. And they went out and got Alexander Isak, another player who is very highly regarded, and he's one of them players where it was like, is he or isn't he? Do we take the risk or don't we? And they took the risk, and it's clearly paid off. So I don't think they're too far off. I think that other players will look at them, see what they've done, see the players they've brought in, and make the decision on that. I think players are a lot more shrewd these days. It's not a case of just going to the team like you've seen in the past with QPR, and club managers and owners are a lot smarter about it. So I do worry about them, because I don't think they're too far off in terms of we've got a few teams that are currently rebuilding. Man United are rebuilding in a transitional time. Liverpool, there's so much talk about Liverpool coming back next season. I don't see it. Yes, I think there'd be more in and about it, like in the top 4 challenge, but I don't see him pushing for a league. Chelsea, unless they bring in a manager that can get rid of 10 players in their team, keep everyone sweet, get everyone gelling together all in one season, I don't see them coming back. So I just there's a lot of assumptions that the teams that are the standard names are going to be fighting for the league.
Yeah. He's improved players as well, isn't he, Geas? He's improved players there.
He's improved a lot of players.
Joe Willett, Jacob Murphy. You wouldn't think you wouldn't think that they'd be starters, would you?
And they're the players that you need to, that you'll be looking at in the team that can sit on the bench and then might not play for 10 games, play a few cup games here and there, and then when you need them, they're there, and they're not moaning, they're not causing unrest in the team. They know more. They're bought into the team ethos. It's and I don't know whether other teams are on that. Chelsea definitely aren't. So it remains to be seen.
I was going to say about their style of football as well. I find it quite frustrating with the time wasting and things like that, and like the kind of they've been very defensive. So I feel like they've been getting the basics right in terms of sorting that out, being defensive, because they had a lot of draws where they weren't losing. And I think when it comes to attacking, it's like now they're kind of coming into some sort of pace and some sort of style. But I still feel like that they're not the finished article yet, and they still need key players in key areas to make that happen.
If they buy three players on the level of Botman, Guimaraes, and Isak, they bought 3 players like that in the summer, then I think teams should be worried. Really do.
Yeah. They've got the goalkeeper's great. Pope, I think.
Oh yeah, great goalkeeper.
Great for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
Eddie Howe also
is number 1, but
Eddie Howe is also neither is Pickford, neither is Ramsdale. Eddie Howe is also a manager who technically is very good. Like, his patterns of play are very advanced. I saw some of them when he was manager at Brighton, Bournemouth. Sorry, it was a different level. He just didn't have the players coming in to keep those standards up. Newcastle, I think, is a different story. Steve, the press on Friday consistently asked Mikel Arteta if it was Arsenal's best chance of winning the league, to which he replied, yes, because we're in this position now with 3 games left. They reaffirmed that they were saying everyone will be stronger next season. So if this is the reason is this the reason it's Arsenal's best opportunity to win the league? He said he doesn't know because he can't see what teams are going to go forward. The press clearly came with a narrative on Friday afternoon with those questions. Do you think they're right in what they're saying, that this is Arsenal's best opportunity to win the league this season?
Well, yeah, I mean, the answer, it's a silly question. We don't know what next season is going to bring. No one knows. No one can look into the future. But we're in an excellent position. You can't get in a better position than being 1 point behind, arguably, the best football team on the planet. So the press, it was a ridiculous question. Arsenal are only sitting second now because, we've got an absolute juggernaut in front of us. A team that's just... for me, they're the best team in the world. So, if you're behind the second team, best team in the world, you can't be having a bad season, can you? But yeah, a bit of a silly question. We don't know what next season's going to bring. Would we take this again next season? Well, of course we would. We'd take it next season. At the beginning of the season, when we get asked, what would be your goals, what would be your aims for the season? I'd probably turn around and say the same as this, a title challenge, because that's where Arsenal are now. But yeah, the press have been doing that all season for Arsenal. It's not just been the press, is it? It's been pundits, little knocks, trying to dig us here and dig us there. Certain managers giving us little digs, we won't mention any names. But no, it was just a question that I think Arsenal fans have become used to now. It's certainly a question that I've become used to, one that I just shrugged my shoulders. It's a stupid question where I'm sure the journalist knows the answer, even before Mikel Arteta utters the words. But yeah, he answered it perfectly, and yeah, I don't think this is the end. Can City get even any better than what they are now? Is this the best City side we've seen for a long while? Possibly.
But they're so boring to watch, though. Sometimes.
But yeah, go on.
Yeah.
No, go on, mate.
No, I was just gonna say, with Arsenal, like when you look at the squad, it's not like they're old. So it's not like they're gonna be old next year and then you're gonna have to rebuild soon. You've got young players in, which you can only go get better, and you're gonna bring in better players. I'm sure Arteta knows the players that he wants to bring in to improve that squad. So it's more City who are probably gonna need to start replacing a Walker and a few of the players who are getting a bit older. So they're the ones who have a job on their hands to actually find another replacement and getting integrated into the squad and not lose points. They lost a few points this year, let's say maybe one game this season where you're thinking, right, it's that Haaland situation where they're getting used to playing with Haaland. But I think also on the Arsenal side of things, I'm sure every Arsenal supporter deep down would say, next season, they'd like to have another season just like it was, but not drop these points that they dropped in this last 5 or 6 games before that City game. If you didn't drop them points against them teams you were expected to win yourselves, and you should expect to beat them because you were beating everyone, that little drop in form, I think you'll want to not have that, so then you can go and win the league. So I don't think you'd want to have a drop like that. Not a drop, I'd say a loss of perfect form, which City are in perfect form. You guys were in pole position with it in your hands, and you kind of lost them few points against teams that I think you should have beaten. And they would have thought the same. I'm sure Arteta would have said to himself, they were winnable games, those.
100%. 100%. Especially the Southampton game, the West Ham game, when you 2-0 up against West Ham, you should not be dropping points there. Not even to just come out with a point. You've missed a penalty as well. But I will say is, watching Arsenal this season, it's been very weird to not have a bad patch of form, and that was our bad patch of form, and we lost one game to Manchester City. Like, it's crazy. And in there we played Liverpool as well. So it shows where we have come, but if we do want to be champions, we can't be dropping points. We need to get over this bogey team at Southampton. Every season we seem to be dropping points to Southampton. It's crazy. I don't know what it is, but Southampton come along, we drop points to them. It's silly. Everton as well. 2 seasons in a row, we lost to Everton.
Yeah,
and they've done the same thing last season.
Not over yet.
Done the same thing.
Remember last season?
No, it's not, but it's out of our hands.
Yeah, but Kears, last season, you lot had a run towards the end of last season as well. So it's not just the start of this season. It's you started this run from mid-season last year.
We've done it the season before. But the thing is, we had a bad patch in the second half of the season last season, and in this half of the season, we had a little bit of a patch in the January. Yeah, where we didn't score many goals, and then we had another little patch towards the end. So, but we're learning. The patches are getting smaller. That's the saving grace that I can see right now. Brighton have dropped points to Everton. They've got 2 games in hand on Tottenham. Nathan, do you think they're going to get that top 6 spot?
I think top 6 is within reach, but Villa they're on fire as well, aren't they? So it's one of them ones. It's tough. I didn't expect what happened today. 5-1. I really didn't expect that today from Brighton. McAllister scores in Everton. I was speaking to Decore actually in the mosque on Friday. I was saying there's a chance you guys, I said you never know. You're playing Brighton because one of the other guys like, you playing Brighton? They just beat United. I was like, listen, you never know. You never know. And he's like, you never know.
Decore scored 2 goals, Nathan.
Yeah,
he scored 2 goals as well.
So I'll have a chat with him next time I see him and tell him well done. That's a great result, to be fair. Dyche, obviously my old coach, coming in.
Where was that? At Watford?
Yeah, he was an assistant manager to Malky Mackay. So yeah, that was towards the times when they stopped playing, and they became coaches and stuff. And yeah, you could see what he's about. He's all about hard work, grit, and determination, and that's what you need when you're down there, innit? So hopefully they can get out of it. That they're going to be struggling. But in terms of Brighton, look, they're Tottenham is a team that has struggled. So end of the day, if I was a person who was a betting man, Brighton or Tottenham, I'm going with Brighton because Tottenham they're weak. They're weak. They're weak in too many areas, and they can't do anything about it either. It's the ability of the players that are there. It's not like they can get any better. You can't just turn it on and be better than these other teams. You are what you are, and the results are showing it. So I think Brighton will get top 6. They're a good enough side. They play great football, but this is the thing: they overcommit, and this is what happens when you overcommit. You get 5 against you, but more often than not, you're going to get the wins. So yeah.
This Brighton team will most likely get raided in the summer with McAllister and Casado, to say the least. Do they need to be careful that they don't waste opportunities like this, getting into Europe, building a team, and trying to make Brighton a more successful team as a whole? Do you think they could potentially go overboard and sell too many of their top players and not be able to get that quality back?
But this is the case, though, isn't it? When it comes to these kind of teams that are really pushing to get to the next levels, like a Leicester. Obviously, Leicester did a one-off, won the league, but they're a team that nobody expected to be up there. Brighton, nobody expects to be this high. They go and get these little gems, and then they get stung from them because that's what they are. They're gems that want to move on to the bigger levels. And that's just what they got to do. They got to have a strategy of how they're going to keep these players and can keep these players coming through where they can actually make it count and then start pushing to actually be a team that stays up there. And then people want to come to them rather than leaving them. It's just going to be a tough one because there's quite a few players in that side that are definitely leaving in the summer. So they're definitely not going to be where they are next season unless they got some crazy scouts that are out there right now finding those gems already.
Alex, Unai Emery's come in at Aston Villa and has done an exceptional job since both Smith and Gerrard have been there. Do you think he could potentially push for that top 6 spot? And what a great season he would have had at Aston Villa.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one because I think don't they have Liverpool coming up? And I'm just trying to think about that. Their upcoming games.
Yeah, I hope so because that's a game.
Yeah.
They
And
do
they
have
also-
Liverpool, yeah.
They do have Liverpool.
they've got Liverpool, and I think they've also got Spurs, and I know that Spurs can be Spursy, but I think that that's still going to be an interesting game. And then they've got Brighton, so I don't know if top six is there for them. I really think that it's probably going to be between Brighton, Liverpool, and Spurs at this moment in time. However, I feel like what he has done with this team, the way that he's got them playing football, I mean, the way that he's unlocked Watkins as well, I think it's been a joy to watch. I've loved seeing Ramsey step up and Mings getting goals. So I think that he's worked wonders with his team. So it'd be interesting to see how that momentum then builds and carries on over into the next season. But top six this season, I can't see them reaching there with so much.
They ain't got 2 games in hand though.
No, they don't. They don't. They have just 3 games left. So they have Liverpool. They've got
Brighton. They're on 33, aren't they?
Oh no, Brighton have got 2 games. Yeah, Brighton have got
no. Villa, sorry.
Villa.
Villa.
Oh, sorry, my head's gone. Sorry.
That's right.
I'm thinking Villa.
Yeah, your head's gone. No, I'm just saying I feel like they've got the next 3 games are going to be really tough games. That's that. I just don't see it. But I mean, stranger things have happened. I mean, who would have predicted Everton beating Brighton today? So who knows?
And the same question on Brighton. Do you think they have to be careful about having a balance of selling those players and trying to sort of progress and get into Europe so they can get more money for their, and you know how it works, but do you think they have to find a balance, or they're okay doing what they're doing?
I think they're going to have to now. If they're trying to reach top 6 and if they're trying to reach Europa League and trying to aim for top 4, I think they're going to have to, because I mean, we've seen over the years that they've kind of been one of those, like, you know, bottom half of the table, like mid-table team that have found that their talent ideas is incredible. They find these gems of players and you're like, where does this conveyor belt keep coming from? But they keep doing it season after season. I think that's something that they're great at, and they have to be to sustain their club. But now I think that they can definitely do that again. But I think they need to make sure that they're careful not to sell everyone, because we saw what happened with Leicester this season. They pretty much sold everyone and it just pretty much left them in a really, really bad position. So I think they're going to be smart enough to make sure that they find players, and they already are. They're already making, they're already buying players. They already have like this Evan Ferguson kid that is supposed to be incredible. Their new up and coming striker now. So I think that they're setting themselves up definitely really well next season, I think.
All right, Steve, Brighton, same question. Do you think they've got to find that right balance, or do you think they're all right going forward? Because they've got, if you look at the players that are clearly going to be after, you've got Matoma, who's had an exceptional season, McAllister, Casado, the Ferguson, although he's got a ridiculous release clause of like 90 million already. Do you think they have to find the right balance? Do you think they're all right doing what they're doing?
Yeah, this season they've been absolutely amazing, haven't they? I mean, a lot's been down to the manager and those players that you've just mentioned there. I mean, and also you can throw in players like Pascal Gross, who's been excellent. Webster at the centre back, I think, has been outstanding. I think
Solly March and all.
Solly March has been great, but I do worry for Brighton going forward. I mean, I De Zerbi could go in the summer. You know, if I was Daniel Levy, I'd be grabbing him straight away and bringing him.
But if you was De Zerbi, would you be going to Tottenham?
I think so, because it's a big club. It's the next step. I mean, how much farther, you know, Brighton going to get?
I don't know.
This season they're selling everybody. They're selling McAllister. They're selling Casado. We don't know who else is going to go. Will Matonis, you know, go as well? Will players like Webster and Gross and Solly March, will they have a good a season as they did, you know, this season, and they will like next season? Chelsea, you know, might maybe back. You know, Tottenham maybe stronger. So I think that I do worry about them this time when Brighton, whether they can keep doing it. They've done incredible. They seem to have this conveyor belt of just bringing in players, and they're a great club, and I hope they continue doing it. But I think got a funny feeling we're going to see this exodus, and I just feel it just might be this time round just a little bit too much for them. And the same with Aston Villa. I think this is their year for trying to get into Europe or the conference league. And I think if they don't do it this year, the pair of them, I don't think, I think they're going to find it very difficult to get it next year. Emery's done unreal with a very poor squad. They're a very poor squad. They've got Ollie Watkins, but other than that, if you go through the rest of their team, they're playing McGinn as a right wing because they haven't got a right winger.
Yeah, he's getting the best out of them, isn't
he? Yeah,
yes. Before we go, I'll ask this question, just off what you've just said there off of Tazui. Is Tottenham a desirable team to manage? Now, I'm not going by the name or the stature of the club or the amount of money that they bring in as a team, but what comes with it? The Daniel Levy, you've seen Mourinho, you've seen Nuno, you've seen Conte go to that team and not get anything out of them. Why, as a manager, and especially an up-and-coming manager like Tazui is, why would you look at Tottenham and think that that's the club for you? Alex, go on. No, Nathan, go on.
No, I think if you're a manager and you've already identified a defence to come in there that are going to actually shore things up, and you can get them players in, I think Tottenham are you've got a good shell there. You've got a great stadium. You've got great attacking players. You just don't have a defence that is cohesive and ready. And you've seen what it's like when certain players play and they're not to the level. Eric Dyer is not the levels as a defender. He was a midfielder. He's playing at the back. He's not a defender. He's getting toasted all the time and people get mad about him. But it's not his fault he's been playing at the back. But again, they have a number of those players who are just not of the levels that you can get to get up to the levels that they want to be at. They're getting in these managers trying to get to Champions League spots, but they're not given enough time. First of all, remember, the other players, most of these players, the better players, are going to go to the top 4 or 5 anyway.
Yeah.
Then you've got Tottenham straight after that who have to get the rest. And there ain't that much quality out there that's Champions League level that you can get, number one. But number two is these players, they've done a job now. They've brought in the attacking players. Now that job's done. They don't need to mess about with the attack. They just need to get a defence that's really strong and make it happen. So
they have to keep Kane, though, don't they, mate? Just throw that in, into your question. They have to keep Kane, don't they?
Keep Kane, yeah, of course they do. But they're not going because Man United taking them. So yeah.
All right, Alex, same question.
Yeah.
Do you see Tottenham as a desirable job?
No, I really don't. It's like a poison chalice. I honestly, I just don't know what it is that they're selling, what dream they're selling to these managers when they say, yes, we need a manager, like come and sign for us, because it just seems to be the same toxic situation over and over and over again. And, even the thing with Conte, it's like, he managed to get in players that in his own image, or the players that he wanted, and it still just kind of just went downhill. And I agree with Nath, it's like that
because they're on loan obligations to buy. They're not even fully signed.
It's just ridiculous. Like, I don't understand how business is done over there. I really think that they should have sold Kane the summer before that, and they could have had that money and used that money to buy loads of players. I mean, there's all sorts of things happening. Like, is it Paratishi's now had to resign? Like, there's just the empire's crumbling there. They've got this beautiful stadium, but it's like the lights are on and there's no one home. It's absolute shambles. I just don't know who would want to take on that job. I mean, it's just.
You know what? The
lights on no one's home is about right, isn't it? That's about right.
Do you know where isn't a desirable place to manage? Chelsea.
Go on.
That's not a desirable place to manage.
Okay. But look, two sides of a crazy coin, yeah? Like a crazy coin.
Tottenham and Chelsea, let's stay on for another hour.
Because Tottenham, you've got, like Alex said, you've got this beautiful stadium. And like Nathan said, you've got a forward line there, which people will be scrambling to try and get Son or Kane in one team. But you've also got a chairman and owners that are not putting any money into the team. The reason why Conte's got Derek Dyer and they're talking about giving him an extension of his contract is because the guy up top is saying,
They
you know what?
Eric
Dyer's all right, you know. I think you, of anyone, could get more out of him. You, because you're special. Like, it's like, what does Daniel Levy do?
But why do you think they always gets these managers who are like these ones that come and go after 3 years?
Yeah, because they can't. Because they pulling
There's
their
no continuity.
Because they're pulling their hair plugs out. Conte don't spend thousands of pounds on a new hairline for it to be pulled out due to stress.
Levy knows he's going to sack him, right? Levy knows he's going to sack him, right? So he gets them on a 3-year contract, right? Because he knows he ain't he don't have to pay him off that much money. Right, it's a no-brainer.
This is a guy who sacked Mourinho, the serial winner, as that Tottenham fan said, on the eve of a cup final.
Terrible.
Like, why would you want to manage that club? And now Chelsea, on the other side, it's madness at the other end of the scale because there's a chairman and an owner that don't stop buying players that you don't want.
They're getting poached.
You walk into the changing room and there's a new player there. You're like, what? And he's got his entourage with him. He's got his friends with him, and they're walking around the changing room. There's players looking at you like, manager, why are these players walking around the changing room? You're like, I don't know who he is. It's madness.
It's madness. But Kieran, and if you're Tottenham's chairman, who are you going to get as managers now, right? You want Harry Kane to stay, yeah? You want to get the good feel back to the club.
No, but that's the problem.
Is it to be a no-brainer, or am I living in a parallel universe?
No, the problem is...
And you let him go, you let him Pochettino go to Chelsea.
No, but the problem is, he's not looking past Harry Kane. He's not looking past Harry Kane. He can go and get... Yeah, but he could have let him go a season and a half ago and got 150 mil for him, 120 to 30 mil for him, whatever it was, and they could have invested that into the squad. But instead, they're going to let Harry Kane roll out the rest of his contract. He's going to finish on a free. They're going to have the hoo-ha of fans saying, yeah, we've got the Premier League top goal scorer of all time in our team. Doesn't matter. It means nothing to you as a team. It means nothing. Alan Shearer was record top goal scorer, but came there with a Premier League trophy. Harry Kane is going to leave his career with nothing but a Premier League all-time goal scorers. Now, okay, great. That is a high accolade as an individual player. But as a club, you want that club trophy. You want to go to Wembley. You want to lift the Premier League title. You're not doing that with Tottenham. And Daniel Levy is feeding into his ego, telling him, talk to him about Jimmy Greaves and all this nonsense. That is not what's important.
But that's what's
important is winning some trophies at the end. And I'm not talking about winning like a Carabao Cup. I'm talking about winning the Champions League. I'm talking about winning the Premier League. They're the trophies that people talk. Even an FA Cup, like you can't even give him that. It's terrible. Both clubs are in the mud. But I would much rather manage a Chelsea team than that.
He wants his statue.
No way would I go anywhere near that Tottenham team.
He wants his statue. He wants his
statue. What are we talking about statues for?
If Harry Kane goes to Manchester United, right, he'd be like a Robin van Persie to Arsenal.
But
do you really think?
What?
Yeah. You ain't been talking.
Why? We're talking about
anyway.
I've spoken to a lot of Spurs fans, and they've said if he goes to Manchester United, what Man United have got, they hate each other. Yeah. Spurs hate Manchester United.
United hate Spurs. What planet are you on, Steve?
The thing is,
Gary Kane is not going to Manchester United. I'll tell you that now.
I've seldom heard this. Like, we hate Spurs.
He's coming. Anyway, Chelsea, dead. I think that chairman's come in and he's gone, how much for that player? 30 mil. Oh, I'll pay 70. How much for him? 50? I'll pay 100. You as well? Yeah, I'll pay double. Don't worry about it. I'll pay double. And that his friend as well, let's buy him as well. I don't get what Chelsea are playing at. They're messing about. They got too many players in the squad. They need to sell more than a whole team before they even can do anything. So if a new manager comes in, what are they going to do? They're going to be like, oh, I've got too many players. I can't buy no one because I've got too many players. The person that won't want to come because there's too many players. That person can't leave because he's on too much money and he's not good enough. So what's going to happen? I don't get it. That's the worst place you're going to go. Unless you want to just go in and, obviously, I'm fed up with my career. I don't want to play no more. I just want to get weighed in so I can just finish my career. That's where you go. You go Chelsea now. Chelsea are done. You have to pay them up and waste more money and let them go somewhere else. That's it.
They're bringing Pochettino in, Nath. They're bringing Mauricio Pochettino as a manager. Right?
Crap.
Who's crap?
Chelsea are crap.
Yeah, but Pochettino could come in and he could turn them around. I hate Chelsea. I hate Chelsea more than Spurs. I hate Chelsea more than Spurs. I detest Chelsea. I would want Spurs. I would rather Spurs win the Champions League than Chelsea. Right? That's how much I hate Chelsea. Right? I hate Chelsea. But I have to be honest.
I hate Chelsea though.
If Mauricio Pochettino comes in and they change their ways and he brings in a 5,
he won't hit the ground running. He never does. Pochettino don't hit the ground running because the players, there's a lot of egos in there, and the players will not like his running style. There's a lot of things that they won't like about Pochettino. It was going to take time. It will take time.
That was only Kane getting off.
You bought all the players and they're not even better than they were before they bought them. They're worse. They're worse. They're worse than they are.
It's true.
But that's down to Bowley, isn't it? That's down to him.
Yeah. Which player is better than the players that they already had?
You had Thomas Tuchel there, and you got brought in Graham Potter.
Frank Lampard.
I'm sorry. Like Potter's a decent manager, but he is not Thomas Tuchel. Like he's not
staying there as assistant.
No,
Frank Lampard.
I'm telling you,
biggest joke the Premier League has seen as a manager. He's
exactly.
not a manager. He's probably a decent coach and a nice fella, but he's a terrible football manager when it comes to the Premier League. Not good enough.
They can't even buy a striker. They've bought everybody under the sun, but not a striker. Where's the intelligence in that?
Well, I mean, imagine they might go for Kane then. If you're saying Poch is coming in, that'd be
worse than Man United, wouldn't it? That'd be worse. See, with Kane, Levy's not selling Kane. You don't have to let him go. If Levy says you're not going nowhere, he can't go anywhere.
Yeah, and Kane's probably going to do a stupid thing and sign a new contract because he's just a fool.
If Levy says you're not going, and for the new manager that's coming into Spurs, they'll be insisting that Kane's there.
There we go. We all know. All right, that is all we have time for. Top chat tonight. Thank you everyone who's been in the comment section. Johnny, Russ, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Who else was in there? Who else? I think someone else I can't see. Thank you very much. Join us tonight, Alex, Nathan, and Steve.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Right, there we go. Maybe next time when I introduce everyone, they'll be able to say hello all at the same time. I don't mind. If you are new to the show, make sure you press that like and subscribe button. If you are a regular, press that share button as well. Just press the copy button. That's all you need to do. All right. Thank you for joining us tonight. Make sure you join us every Monday at 8 p.m. for the Super 6 podcast. Make sure you join us. And thank you very much, Russ. Thank you very much, Johnny. Make sure you join us for every Tuesday, 8 o'clock for the Arsenal show. Peace out, people. Stay safe.
Waiting.
Oh, God. And wash your hands.